Oh, goody.
Alright, what's up everybody? It is Zombies here again, and today we have some more Mercenaries gameplay for you. So this is actually some post commentary. These are actually some of my first games that I played this month on the ladder. Decided to start off my laddering with Frost Valeera. It's a comp I played a little while ago and had a lot of success with, but hadn't tried it in a few weeks, so I figured I'd go back to it and see if it would still do good, and it seemed to do pretty well for me on the early climb. But yeah, definitely liking this comp a lot, but the games I actually selected here are less about the comp I picked and more about my opponent's comps. You see here, we actually have a really interesting one with Tyrion, Brightwing, and Cornelius. I think it's the first time I've actually seen a comp like that, and the first time in a long time I've seen a Brightwing. So that's kind of the theme of these three short games we're going to be focusing on today, or I guess featuring today, is that the opponents all had really cool comps. So if there's one thing to take away from this video, I would say, it's the beginning of the month. Feel free to experiment. Try out some weird stuff. A lot of people are trying out weird stuff right now, and I think that's the best time to experiment with weird stuff because you will have a better chance of it going well. At least that's the way I look at it. But yeah, in this kind of early start, we're actually in a great spot because they just don't have a lot of convenient ways for pressuring down our units, and we're able to set up a really nice snap here while getting our Valeera into stealth. So this is where things just start getting a little bit ridiculous, as is tradition with Valeera. She does get out of hand rather fast with those speed boosts, especially when your opponent is also not boosting their speed by that same amount. So here comes Blink Fox. This is actually pretty cool. But again, there's really not like a ton they can do here against us. Their main two mercenaries aren't really that threatening. The Blink Fox is bigger than it would normally be due to, I believe, the Brightwing buff. And they are going to potentially grow even more with this Tyrion dying. But we have a lot of frost damage. Jaina is still not popped. And both Valeera and Varden are chilling at very high HP. So we're actually going to opt to kind of try and snipe down the Blink Fox here, get as much damage on it as we can. Because we're dealing a lot of AoE damage to everything else with Varden. They do finally manage to pop our block, but it is at a higher amount, 26, so that's not too bad for us. Now here they can go for a protect on one of their units with the Tyrion before we have a chance to kill it. So that's one of the reasons we're going for the flurry again, to hopefully get rid of that protection. And they actually go for the water elemental with Jaina. That's pretty interesting. So Blink Fox goes down, another one down, and Tyrion ends up dying. So he does get a buff off on the token, and it actually gets Divine Shield on that, which is kind of cool. Even though the Tyrion died, it still got the death blow effect off, which is a pretty neat interaction. So I'm thinking about what to send in here. And I think I do end up going with the Karen. Just seems like a good balance for what we've got going on here. The only tricky thing about this version of Valeera Frost is it can be a little awkward comboing your Valeera with, because you can't combo her first skill on the first turn. You have to use Fan of Knives, and if you're running into a lot of orc heavy leads, whether it's full orcs or if it's just a Thrallgrim Valeera setup, Valeera can die in one turn. So I have seen another version of the list going around that actually, what it does is I think it drops Cookie from the list, and it goes with the Valeera Grom opener as well as Jaina, and then in the back you run Karen, Diablo, and Varden. I saw Dallas was having some success. I think he got the list from Censor, who's a top player on EU. So I think that is the list I am going to do a full team comp on this week, because from what I've seen, it just seems to perform a lot better in the current meta due to the prominence of some pretty powerful red units, most notably Thrall and Grom. So you do have a really big Illidan here, looking back at the current game, and we're just really going to try and do as much damage as we can to that to get it down. Luckily, we do have 2 mercenaries in the reserve here and a pretty healthy trio out on the board, so I'm not really too concerned. We kind of got a pretty strong lead in the beginning. I think the cold snap is really what did it for us. They do have the double attacking Illidan move there, which is kind of neat, but still not enough. They end up killing their Illidan, getting frozen by our Varden, and then we can have Diablo in to clean it up, and that'll be the game. And we have ourselves another game here. We're going to do as we did before and just go with the double Frost and Valeera start. And they have triple protector, so that was pretty interesting to see. Valeera Grom, and this was kind of weird. The cookie lead. I don't know if I've ever seen a cookie lead before. I guess the idea is to have another combo enabler for Valeera on 2, so you can stack the speeds, which is kind of neat if you're running into a lot of Valeera mirrors, as winning that early flip can be really big. But I've never seen cookie out as a start before, so it's interesting to see how that'll work out for the opponent. They're actually able to get our Valeera down to a super low life total here while enabling their combo. So they are just going to be able to snipe us down here before Valeera can do anything. So this is again a example of why I think that new version of Frost might be better with Grom on the start, as we really do want a combo enabler for Valeera on turn 1, as otherwise she can get hard targeted or just outsped by opposing Valeeras that can get that combo off. So that's kind of one thing I think I learned in playing these games. Even though I won a fair amount of games with it, the more I played with it and the more Valeera Grom openers I saw, the worse it was kind of feeling. So I think the newer version of it will probably end up being the go-to version, at least for the kind of meta we're in right now. But you can expect a more in-depth look at that probably tomorrow. I'm going to try and do a full team comp breakdown on that, so look forward to that. And they actually have a Rokara on the bench, so they had a weird bench here, if I remember correctly. Rokara's already kind of strange. But there, like I said before, there's just a lot of really neat experimental stuff on ladder right now, because it's like, the beginning of the month. So if there's anything weird and experimental you've wanting to like try out in Mercenaries but haven't wanted to do it in fear of tanking your rank, now you don't have to worry about it. But we don't have to worry about it a whole ton either way, because unfortunately, the ranking system has still not been adjusted or changed again, so we're still waiting for a fix on that. But here, I think we just end up going for a nice quick snap. Basically, that's really the most powerful thing you're leveraging in Frost, like most of the time, is you're just trying to leverage like the best snaps you can, and Valeera enabling that at a faster speed, or like we're seeing Karen enable it at the faster speed here, is just really, really strong. Generally, anytime you're denying your opponent a action in Mercenaries is going to be very strong. It's one of the reasons we see Cookie's snipe, Cookie's cooking just being such a insane ability, because not only are you denying a character an action for the turn, but you're also giving, if you have 3 mercenaries, 45 more health across the board. So it's a really insane swing. So when you get those 3 freezes, or even just 2 freezes with a good timed freeze with Varden, it just really makes a big difference. So here we can see they are actually running the Mr. Smite combo. So if you aren't familiar with Mr. Smite, he basically has an ability that allows him to grow and get a lot larger And Rokara kind of helps enable that. So see, he goes for it here. Now whenever friendly takes damage, he punches something and he scales up and gets bigger. Then Rokara is making him even bigger, so you can see he's getting a lot of health this turn. But we are able to do just a ton of damage to him. And again, we still have 2 mercs in the back. Rokara is pretty much dead. Smite's just going to get dealt with by our blue units here, and that is going to be the game. So Mr. Smite, super cool, but I just don't think currently he has the support to like consistently get there. And this is our last game here. So this one is against probably my favorite of the comps we've seen so far. I think I was actually talking to someone in the Mercenaries Discord about this, but it is a Valeera Grom lead that actually uses Blink Fox. And this is pretty cool, because pretty much every other time I've seen Blink Fox, it has exclusively been used as a bench unit, oftentimes to kind of speed up Diablo, sometimes in place of Karen. And it seems really good at what it does in that role. I don't think I have ever seen it used as a kind of leading mercenary. So I was super curious to see how it kind of worked out for the opponent. And so we get our speed up here with Valeera with the Phantom Knives, but much like what happened in last game against a Valeera Grom comp, Valeera going for Fan on turn 1 is just too slow. It just doesn't really feel like it's cutting it to me. Because now we get sniped down at 0 speed and there's nothing we can do, and then that combos his Valeera to get in for a ton of damage, keep the stealth train going, and we're just not leveraging our abilities in the ways we want to. So I think Valeera is going to die off again here, but we are going to have a pretty powerful switch in, if I recall correctly. I don't remember what they have in the back here. I do think it is Karen Diablo, and I think it's Karen Diablo Cookie, but I could be incorrect about that.
Job done.
And so yeah, they snipe down the Valeera as we were expecting. Get the Jaina down really low. We get a little bit more slow, but our slow is pretty inconsequential compared to their speed. They are out of the Valeera here though. I'm not actually sure what it is that caused them to exit stealth there. It's a little confusing to me because they comboed the ability off, so I don't see why it would leave stealth. Yes, I do have Diablo coming out. We sent in Karen. I think Karen was a really good choice here because we get some nice slow and AoE, and the Valeera is weak, so even if it does hide itself through the stealth, we do have ways to kill it, or at least deal a lot of damage so we can kill it next turn. Alright, so see, we get our slow off, which is really nice. Take some residual damage there, popping our Jaina, and we do get the another really key freeze off actually that turn. I think that freeze is basically what put us in a position to win this game. That's really what you want to be abusing with Varden, and that's another reason I think this new version that we're going to be seeing tomorrow basically has a lot of advantage, because you're getting your Varden in the mid game to the late game, and you can more impactfully snap with him then, from what I've seen. And like I said before, that is probably the strongest way to use Varden right now, is to just do your best to set up some really good snaps, because they are game winning, as we see in a couple of these games here. I am thinking about the options here though, because there are a lot of decent plays, I would say. I think I was really considering the option of freeze on Varden, but I ended up going for the slow and the damage. So we both get the speed up, but we are ever so slightly faster. Unfortunately, we don't have enough to kill the Diablo, but because we were able to go first there, Diablo didn't get as much damage off. However, they did get a mana blink off with the Blink Fox, so they're going to have access to that again this turn at a very fast speed. However, we have more than enough health to kind of survive that this turn. Seeing what the Blink Fox rolls could be relevant. You never know what to expect from the Blink Fox. Sometimes it can pull really, really clutch stuff out of nowhere, and sometimes it pulls absolutely useless or unusable moves. So, never know what to expect with that mercenary. It looks like he actually rolls Flurry, which really isn't that bad, all things considered for us. We actually don't even have enough damage to kill the Varden. And so we actually get their Karen down to under 20 health, last two mercenaries, and we wrap it up. I do think they did actually end up beating us in a rematch after this, funnily enough, so Blink Fox League can be good, for sure. That's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed it, do remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.